This is the second video that will show you how to finish the cam clamp slider base on Fusion 360. Now, just like the first video, please try and create these features and this object before you reference the video. We want to move you from needing the step-by-step directions to a point where you can create most objects and you're just looking for the occasional help or question and answer. The closer you get to being able to create these on your own, the much better CAD operator you're going to be. And also, you'll be much better at expressing your own designs and creating your own designs without having directions or step-by-step instructions on how to do things. All right, so in this object, we created the base body. I did the countersink holes. And now we have to create the pattern, the tooth pattern, spike pattern, whatever you want to call it. It's very similar to like a knurl. It's a textured surface to bite into the wood that the clamp is designed to hold. Um, and then we're going to create this little slot on the bottom, which you can see here. The dotted lines on this hidden view perspective kind of show you what we're also going to create. Doesn't matter which one I do first. So let's do the linear pattern first, because that's probably where I'm going to get a lot of questions. All right. So essentially, if you look really closely at the detail views, these are little pyramids. Now, I know you guys have created a pyramid before. It's very simple using the loft tool. So I will create one pyramid, and then we'll use a pattern tool to create the rest. Okay, I'm going to sketch on the surface and make a box. And the size of that box is going to be 0.067 wide and 0.067 in length or height, or however you want to look at it. And I'm just going to use the equals because that's easier. All right. Now I need to do an offset work plane. And it's going to be offset by essentially the height of the pyramid. And the height of the pyramid is 0.038. And make sure that's going the right direction. Good. Now I'm going to sketch on this guy that I just created. I'm going to use my project tool to essentially import that geometry from the last sketch. Highlight it all, hit OK, and now it's in my sketch, my current sketch. And I like to use diagonal lines. I'm a big fan of construction lines. Those diagonal lines show me exactly where the center point is. I'm going to put a point right there. And that point's going to be the only thing that we see in that sketch. So finish that sketch. And now I have two sketches here. This base sketch and then this sketch here. So I'm going to grab the loft tool. I'm going to select my first sketch and then select just the point in my second sketch. And I should see this neat and tidy little pyramid there. Click OK. And I have my first pyramid. Now I got to make a lot more. I'm going to use the rectangular pattern tool, and I recommend you use features. A lot less problems with processing when you use features. And then go down to, let's see, go down to the timeline. I'm going to select that loft I made. That's the easiest way, in my opinion, to get those features. Select my direction. I'm going to go that way. Let's see if I can get both ways going. Sometimes, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's a Fusion thing or not, but I can only get one direction to work properly. If I can get them both, then we can do all of them in one step. If I can only get one direction, then I'll do the horizontal and then come back with another linear pattern and do a pattern of the pattern. Copy of a copy. But it all depends. All right, so direction 1. I believe the number is 45, but I'll tell you what I'm looking for is no gaps between. Okay. Now what I put in here is the number 45. That's the quantity I have. And what I'm looking for is I want the pyramids to go all the way to the edge, but without overlapping each other. That's kind of important. So I know the width of this object is 3 inches, but I have to account for the one pyramid I've created. So if I put in 3 minus the width of the pyramid, 0.067, it should take me all the way to the edge. And I can play with numbers. If I don't know how many, I can start with 40. Okay, there's a gap there. What about 41? Still a gap. Work my way. 44, there's hardly a gap. That might be okay, but what about 45? Oh, looks perfect. I'm going to go with 45. And I just happen to know those numbers because I created the object, but who's counting? It's all about using the information that we're given. Okay, now if I look here, the second row, which I think I'm going to be able to do both directions at once, the second row has a gap of 0.033, and I know that the height of this is 0.067. Add them together and you get 0.1. So let's see what 0.1 does. Looks good, except there are too many. I have 3 rows, I only need 2. That looks perfect. All right, let's see if this computer will do it. I'm getting a warning here, too much stuff going on, but let's try it. Hey, that looks right about perfect. Very happy with that. No gaps in between, while no overlap or no discernible overlap. That looks perfect. That's going to grip some wood, that's for sure. All right, so that's your linear pattern tool. Now, like I said, sometimes if you can only create one row, then that's fine. You can do a second pattern tool, and when you select features, click both of these because you want the first box and the other 44 in your pattern, and you just do it a little higher. But it's great when everything works right and you can get them in one. All right, the last thing I have to do is create this spline type of thing right here. So let's do another sketch on the bottom. And if I look here, straight lines going all the way through. So I think I'm going to project that body, create some lines. And those lines seem to go all the way through from edge to edge. So that's what I'm going to do. And what else do I know here? So I know they go edge to edge. Obviously, they don't run through the slot, but they're directly on either side. So what's the width of this thing? 0.036 inches. And it is centered, so I need to account for that. 0.36. So how about some construction lines to make this even? A lot of ways to do it, but that's just the way I might do it. Now let's see here. I put one perpendicular in there. Let's put another one in there. Perpendicular. Is it going to put it? Not. Okay. I think one was probably enough to have the same effect. Let's do a midpoint. So it's midpoint, that point at that line. Hey, look at that. Fully constrained. Awesome. Now let's extrude it and see if it does what we want. Oop, not that. I want that. And by importing the body, it allows me to just select those two. And how tall is this? This is 0.07 inches. Not very tall. 0.07. Preview looks good. Looks very symmetrical. Oh, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. So let's stick it in the isometric view and compare. Does this look the same as this isometric view? I will say it does. I'm happy with that. That looks good. Now remember, you may have approached some of these problems a little bit different than I have. As long as you get the same result, that's what matters. I would also say your time matters as well. So as long as the alternate solution you took didn't take too long, then that's acceptable. If you went and created each of those pyramids by hand, then that probably took a long time, and you would want to not do that in the future and use the pattern tool. But if you get the end result, then generally that's okay.